Howdy everybody, welcome to Rebel's Garage. Today we're going to be pulling some old 7.3 injectors out and putting some bigger ones in. They're about 160/30 I think. Should hopper up a little bit more. Let's see how it goes. To get to the injectors, you're going to have to remove the valve covers and everything above and in the way. So there's a clamp right here. Goes on the mouth of that turbo. It's actually still on the turbo. You're going to undo that clamp. And then pull this whole intake, whether you have a stock one or a aftermarket one. Pull that whole deal. Just get it out of your way. It's easier, even though you don't, I guess, necessarily need to pull the entire thing. It's just easy to go ahead and get it out of the way. From there, you can have 13mm bolts here, you know, all the way around. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bolts. These two are going to be studs. So you're going to pull the nut off because there will be this bracket right here. I've got it slid up out of the way. Pull the nut off, slide the bracket off, then pull the studs. Same thing for this one and that one. Those are both going to be studs because of a corner bracket. The rest will be 13mm bolts. Same thing over here. I've already got this one pulled off, but you're going to need, I believe it's either these two or these two are going to be studs that hold your dipstick in place. So what I do is undo the 10mm bolt that holds the dipstick to the clamp, and then pull that clamp off, and then, you know, get the rest of them. 10 on this side as well. And then from here, what you want to do is pull the back two first. I've heard that it drains most of the oil into the back two cylinders. That way you don't have to worry about every cylinder having a crap ton of oil in it. I don't know, but whatever. So you pull that plug. Next, you're going to get a 6mm Allen to pull this oil return that comes out of the injector down into the engine. Once you pull it, the two injector hold down bolts are going to be 8mm or 5/16. Both will work. So you undo this one with a socket, and this one you're only going to be able to get a wrench on it, an open end wrench, because it's so close to the injector. Undo the outside one first, because the inside one will strip the flats off of it if you try and use it, or, you know, take the pressure off of it first. But once you pull that outside one, the inside one shouldn't have any pressure on it, and you can get it off usually either by hand or with a wrench. So let's see if we can get it on video. So I told you wrong, it's a 5mm Allen. So these back ones, you're not gonna be able to use an impact. At least I can. I've tried to get them off. Also, forgot to mention, there's going to be an HVAC box right here. Go ahead and pull that. It's like a 1/4 inch or 7mm screw here and back there. Get that out of the way, because you don't have a lot of room, and that does not help with it in the way. So the rest of them, I like to break them with the ratchet and then use an impact to speed things up. But this back one right here, and then the back one on the driver's side, you're not gonna be able to get an impact. Really, these back two, because of this HVAC box on the passenger side, you probably won't be able to get an impact unless you have an electric ratchet. Those probably would come in a lot of handy in a job like this. But I'm doing it all with hand tools that you can buy from Harbor Freight or Home Depot. So this piece faces the injector, that faces down into the engine. It just screws into the injector hold down clamp. Pull that first to get it out of the way. Next, we are going to use our 5/16 or 8mm. It is probably 8mm, but I do not have one. So, and then I've got it using a 1/4 inch. See if I can actually get it on there. A 1/4 inch socket, 1/4 inch drive socket, because it's thinner, makes it easier to get to the bolt without hitting anything. And then my 1/4-inch drive ratchet sucks. That's why I'm not using it. So, got that loose. Can take it the rest of the way out. Should be by hand. Let's see. Yep. They only torque them to 10 foot-pounds. The outside ones, the inside ones are going to be torqued to hand tight because it has a shoulder, so you just run the shoulder down until it touches the bottom of the thread, you know, till it runs out of threads. Nope. Thought it was over. It was not. There we go. Now you'll see how that one has a shorter shoulder? The inside one will have a longer shoulder. Get our 8mm wrench. And this is the most time-consuming part about this whole deal, is sitting here and doing it 1/3 of a turn at a time. Because it's not terribly tight, but it's just tight enough you can't really do it by hand. Let me see if I can show you. There we go. Well, I'm not good at holding, but you see that's the bolt we're looking for right there. And the outside one, I'll show you on one of these injectors, is right there. Go back to that position. This part will probably be a time lapse because it is going to take me a couple of minutes. All right, so that's our inside bolt. You can see the shoulder is much longer. Pull that out, put it over here where you don't lose it. Next, you're going to get a pry bar and stick it under. You don't want to just get under the solenoid, so I'll show you. You're going to stick it under that lip of that injector in between the clamp and there. And you're just going to give it a bump. Let's set this back over here. Just like that. Doesn't take a lot of pressure, just takes a little bit of impact. Because I tried pulling them out by hand and being all nice and gentle, and they really just like being yanked out. And there you go. It's out. What I like to do is number it right there with either a marker or my knife, so I know where they came out of. Doesn't really matter, but it's just something I like to do. All right, so next what you're going to want to do is pull the glow plugs after you get done pulling the injectors, because you're going to need to spin the engine over with the injectors in but the glow plugs out in order to get all the oil that fell into the cylinders out. Some people say you can do it with a vacuum brake bleeder, but the one I have will not fit through the hole of the injector cups to actually pull the oil out. So this is the next best way. You're going to get some oil probably into the exhaust manifolds and up out of the turbo, but it'll burn out. You just got to drive it. So you need a 10mm. A 1/4-inch drive 10mm works way better. However, I lost mine somewhere between taking the dipstick cover off and, I mean not the dipstick cover, but the dipstick off of the valve cover. So what you're going to do is, see, there's nothing holding them on, so now it's hard to, there you go. Pull that off, and right here on next to every injector hole is going to be a glow plug, 10mm deep socket. These are torqued to like 14 foot-pounds, so they're not very tight. The only thing that sucks about getting these out, see, I got it loose, we'll hook the impact up, is that when you use 3/8 drive stuff, and see, look, it made me look like a liar. Usually the socket gets stuck between the push rod, or next to the push rod, just from the pressure the glow plug has on it. That's your glow plug, coated in oil. And so what I usually have found that I'm gonna have to do is get a pair of needle nose pliers, unhook the extension out of the socket, and then just pull the socket out. And it'll come right out whether the injector's in or not, because we are gonna have to reinstall new glow plugs. Mine weren't working, so I'm going back with new ones with the injector in there. So keep that in mind. So I'm installing these slightly used injectors into my truck, and as you can see, the O-rings don't look that bad, but I already went ahead and bought a new set, so might as well go put them on. That way I don't have to do this twice. As you can see, it's really helpful that these come all jumbled up like that, so you have no order of how to put them on. And the only thing you can find from Felpro is a blurry picture in what order they have them in, but the order they have them in is actually wrong. So if you can see, the factory ones, these are aftermarket bigger ones, had 2 O-rings right here, and it wasn't pink. But you have the metal, let's see if I can get that to focus. You have the metal ring, then the flat washer, then the O-ring, then the big pink one, then the orange one, then the copper one. So that's what order these need to go in. I'll have them laid out in just the order that they're supposed to be in is metal washer, flat rubber washer, O-ring, 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 copper washer. And so what I like to do is try and keep it clean, so you don't want anything getting on it like that. I like to lay it on a paper towel, which my work area is fairly clean, but it doesn't hurt. And then to get this, so the factory ones were really hard to get off. This one doesn't look like it's gonna be that bad. So you just start it with that and pull that off. And you basically go in reverse order. So we're gonna pull this one, this one, this one, or these 3. So let's see if I can set this up. So usually I have it laying down, but I'm gonna have it standing up, that way you can see better. We're gonna take a screwdriver and just roll that in, pop that off. And what I like to do is set them right here under the camera in reverse order. That way I can count, make sure I changed every one. That way you don't have a leftover one, which the colors are pretty different, you know, from used one to a new one. But that way you can tell what you've done. Just a little peace of mind. See, these pink ones are really tight getting off. They're not that bad getting them on. And so installing them, I am gonna flip this over for a second. What you want to do is make sure they're really good and covered in oil, injector and O-ring. So what I actually have right over here is a tray with motor oil, good motor oil, not used. Which I don't guess it would matter, but I mean, come on, you're already spending this much money on injectors and O-rings and time. Half a quart of motor oil, of good motor oil, wouldn't hurt you. But so I dip the O-rings in it and then put them on, and so that actually helps with installing them and helps them go in easier. And then, you know, I do get my finger and come on, of course I can't get this one. There we go. Get my fingers, dip them in oil, and then rub them up and down the injector. Make sure it's good. So we'll get our new metal one. Dunk it in oil. As you can see, it's dripping. Come down here. Get that on. Then our flat washer. I try not to roll it if I can help it. I don't know if that does anything or not, but it makes me feel better. Our blue one. And actually, if you go to Riff Raff Diesel, they have a very in-depth injector install write-up, if you will. They use Alliant O-rings, which I've heard are better than the Felpros. I just got these because they were local to me. But I mean, they cost just as much as the Alliant, or Alliant, however you say it. So I would hope that the quality is the same. I've had good luck with Felpro gaskets in the past, so I'm not particularly worried. got that on. And then what I like to do is, firstly, let's get a towel and clean that nozzle off. So the less oil on that, the better. What I like to do is get that washer, set it on there like that, and then just get like a, what is this, a 9mm socket for a 1/4 inch drive ratchet. It helps you seat it on there, because I tried doing it without it. See, it goes on nice and smooth. You ain't got to worry about warping it or bending it, and it sits down on there good. And that's your new O-rings on your injector. And you can see, because we soaked all of them in oil, most of the injector is already coated in oil. All the O-rings are coated in oil. It makes install a lot easier. And I like to, when I pulled these out, I just like to screw these back in with the matching injector. I doubt it really does anything. Probably does nothing, but it keeps me from losing them. That's what it does. So next step is reinstalling them. All right, so next up, you have to reinstall all 8 either new injectors or re-ringed injectors, whatever you choose or need to do. So you want to set it in like that. So next you got to reinstall all 8 injectors with all 8 glow plugs out. Set it in like that, just in the hole, sitting in there. And you basically do the reverse order. So you're going to take the inboard injector hold down, put it in. It's kind of tricky to get started sometimes. Sometimes it just goes right in. It all depends on how much it wants to make your day suck. See, is that threading? Let's see, there we go. So that one's threaded. What I like to do is run that one down dang near as far as you can get it, you know, a good ways, and then put the outboard one in, and then finish tightening the inboard one the rest of the way. Because the outboard one is going to be the one that you tighten down and actually pulls the injector down. The inboard one's just going to be hand tight. But if you get the inboard one all the way tight and then try and put the outboard one in, it really sucks sometimes. So remember, outboard one is going to have that short shoulder. The inboard one has a really long shoulder. So next one, just for the sake of the video, so you can see where it goes, you get that one started. Where is it at? There we go. It started. Do a couple more turns just to be sure. Yeah, it's in. Cool. So you're going to tighten this one all the way down by hand, then tighten this one down. I just run it flush with the impact on the lowest setting and then torque it down. You know, as soon as it stops turning, I let go and then torque it down the rest of the way. And then you will install your injector oil return deal. After we get all 8 injectors installed like this, we're going to put the valve covers back on with the injectors unplugged. If you have an electric fuel pump, I would unplug it if you can. All 8 injectors unplugged, all 8 glow plugs out, and then you're going to bump the engine over. Barely bump it the first couple of times just to get it moving, just because all that oil is going to shoot out of these glow plug holes, and that's why you keep your valve covers on, or else all the engine bay gets covered in oil, and it sucks. But you're going to do that a couple of times, just barely bumping it, and then once you know like it's wanting to spin, then you just spin it over. I think I did like a minute straight, and you can, if you don't want to run your starter that hard, you can space that out, but a minute, 2 minutes straight of just spinning it, just to try and get all that oil, as much oil as you can out of there. That way you don't have to worry about any being in the cylinders and hydrolocking it, because that'd be a bad day. Forgot to say is, once you start these 2 bolts and you get this one, you're going to hand tighten it all the way down, or what feels like all the way down, because you know you just set the injector in there and you barely can be able to fit your fingers with a wrench on the flats. What you want to do is put your palm right there on the center of the solenoid and push. And you should feel it go down like 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch. But it's enough that now you can finish tightening it and bottoming it out the rest of the way, either with your wrench or your hand. And then you tighten this one up. it makes it go a lot smoother than if you pushed it all the way down before you ever start tightening it. It binds that bolt up, and then you have to go flat by flat by flat. So now we'll pull our glow plugs out of our valve cover. Make sure none of these can get pinched, any of these wires, because this is your glow plug and your injector wires. Once again, make sure all injectors are unplugged. Get them out of the way, set the valve cover on, and we're going to spin her over. All right, let's just bump it. Clutch it, sorry. Yeah, you can see some oil shot out. A lot of oil shot out. I think we had a valve cover fall off. I think I just sprayed my whole engine bay. I did, in fact, spray my whole engine bay. Well, shit. That's why you make sure the valve cover's good on. Oh, that's gonna suck to clean. Let's get us a bolt and put that bolt. We got our valve cover bolt in on this side. I'm gonna do that side. That should be enough to keep this from happening. Dang it, that sucks. But you live and you learn. My friend's truck, I didn't even put the valve covers on, so it was so much worse than this, if you can believe that. All right, well, let's give it another go. That other bolt, just a couple of turns in, just enough to keep the valve cover from coming off again. But hey, it was spinning, which means we didn't bend a rod, so silver linings and all that. Let's try this again. Apparently I have dead batteries. Huh. That's a problem. Right, after you successfully covered your entire engine bay in oil, found out my problem. I had a loose connection. What you want to do is pull the valve covers off and do final torque sequences on all the injectors, install your glow plugs, torque those down, and then make sure all the oil return lines are tight, and then you just reassemble. Okay guys, so we got everything put back together and finished up. Got a little bit of a belt squeal if you can disregard that. Everything's back together. Got a little bit of a miss. That driver's side injector harness valve cover gasket combo is got some bad connections, so I'm probably gonna have to pull the driver's side valve cover back off and change that. But other than that, she's good to go. Running great. That's on tune 1, so it's only about a 25 horse tune. But let's go drive her up the road and see how she does.